Hello everyone, I am Julian Morris with the Channel 5 News. In the headlines, the Labour administration makes history presenting $1 billion budget for the 2019-2020 financial year. Kalinago Chief Lorenzo Sanford receives a commitment for support from the Minister for Finance and an opportunity for upward mobility for the island's teachers. The details coming up.
Flow helps you stay connected to what matters. Simple plans and a better network mean that you can enjoy 7 days of unlimited social messaging, 3 gigabytes of reliable data to use as you like, 700 local anywhere calls and texts, with the always-on prepaid plan, all for $29. Keep your number when you switch to Dominica's most reliable LTE network. Buy wherever you top up. Switch to Flow. It only gets better.
Here are some tips to reduce mosquito presence in and around your home. Keep water storage containers properly covered. Remove containers that can collect water from your surroundings. Keep garbage bins tightly covered. Pick up your litter and remove all tires from your yard. Keep gutters free of leaves and twigs to prevent stagnant water. Prevent Zika, dengue, and chikungunya. Fight the bite. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
This message is supported by Flow.
A new in-home experience is here. All your services bundled into one simple plan. Faster, more reliable Wi-Fi so that you can binge, play, and stream uninterrupted. Unlimited Flow local landline minutes mean you can talk and talk and talk. Plus the best in TV entertainment with over 120 channels and 29 in HD. All for $160 a month with the new all-in bundle. With Flow, it only gets better.
First up in the news, Prime Minister Skerrit made history on Tuesday presenting a $1 billion budget to Parliament. The Prime Minister, who is also Minister for Finance, presented the budget of $1,020,164,545 as part of his 14th budget so far as Prime Minister. The last budget for 2018-2019 was $978 million. The Prime Minister also released some important news on the economy, reporting that the economy is growing at 9% this year. The Finance Minister said given the severity of the impact of Tropical Storm Erica and Hurricane Maria, Dominica has rebounded at a faster rate than was imagined. He made the point that the international community had come to Dominica's aid post-Maria because the country's leaders are credible and respected. He noted that Dominica was in full recovery mode and charting its course to become the world's first climate-resilient country. In other news, newly elected Kalinago Chief Lorenzo Sanford has received the full backing of the Prime Minister. The new Kalinago Chief was in Parliament Tuesday as the Prime Minister delivered his budget address. As Minister for Finance, the Prime Minister promised to empower the young Kalinago Chief to ensure his success.
I want to take this opportunity to congratulate Mr. Lorenzo Sanford, who has created history in the territory by being one of the youngest men to be elected Kalinago Chief. We expect that he will bring fresh ideas and a new vigor to the territory. And I will say, I have, as a young man myself, it's a great pride that I also celebrate his victory as Kalinago Chief. And I give him the assurance that he will end up being the most successful Kalinago Chief that we have seen in Dominica's history. And as the Minister of Finance, I will empower you to so do, young man. All of us should celebrate your success. I certainly salute you and celebrate your success. And for me, it's almost very personal because it pleases me always to see young people in particular do well for themselves and for their families and for the nation. So we'll continue to work with the Kalinago Chief and with other local community leaders to continue efforts at improving the quality of life and expanding the economic opportunities for the Kalinago people. The projects to be implemented in the Kalinago territory in the 2019-2020 financial year will include, but are limited to, the continuation of the Small Business Development Fund, which will provide grants to new and existing small businesses. The establishment of an agricultural center to provide the farmers and households with seedlings and other planting materials and inputs. The development of the craft industry through training, marketing, and financial support to those engaged in its production. The rehabilitation of several community-based roads and the construction of 100 new climate-resilient homes for the benefit of the Kalinago people.
Consultant in the Ministry of Family and Gender Affairs Martin Anthony says a workshop taking place here this week in capacity building and case management of juvenile offenders is timely. Topics being covered include principles and standards when working with juveniles, restorative justice philosophy, and the mediation process. The workshop is in collaborative effort between the CARICOM Secretariat and the Ministry of Justice and the Ministry of Family and Gender Affairs. Anthony says juveniles as adults are engaged in antisocial behavior, but the question remains whether the region responds appropriately to youth crime and violence. He says this week's workshop itself is one way of responding to the challenges faced in the region in dealing with youth crime and violence. He says there are other responses, but the question is how are we responding to them? He says there are ongoing attempts at legislative reform throughout the region as many of the laws are outdated.
One example is that the efforts by the OECS USA Juvenile Justice Reform Program in the area of family law and the many bills that have been enacted. One of the response, I would say, is the area of intervention strategies. Our intervention strategies responding appropriately.
Martin Anthony also points to intersectoral collaboration which would be provided for through a harmonized bill proposed under the OECS USA Juvenile Justice Reform Project.
The bill speaks to immediately when a juvenile is allegedly commits a crime, the probation service must come in immediately. Consultation must take place with the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution. The bill makes provision for an initial inquiry where the court will examine, did that child actually commit this crime, or has the child owned up in committing that crime. If that happens at that stage, the matter is diverted and do not go to a wider court setting. So the bill is very, very interesting, very innovative, and I think it's an appropriate response. And the spirit of the bill is for us to try as much as possible to see how do we divert a young person who allegedly commits a crime from the formal court setting.
And major reforms coming to the education sector in terms of creating greater opportunities for upward mobility for teachers. Prime Minister Skerrit has announced plans to make meaningful changes in the management of schools. Mr. Skerrit says the current system makes very little allowance for upward mobility. He says it's often the case that most teachers leave the job after 30 years in the same position.
So what we propose, Madam Speaker, and this will also address a number of challenges which we see at the school level. What we propose in here, Madam Speaker, is to maintain the one principal per school, the creation of 2 deputy principal positions, and these 2 deputy principals will have no teaching responsibilities. One will be responsible for the pedagogy of the students, the welfare of the students, and the other will assist the principal in the management of staff and the scheduling of courses, etc. We create 2 assistant deputy principal positions. Heads of department will become an established position, Madam Speaker. We'll create the position of senior graduate teacher and also maintain the position of graduate teacher. We'll create a new position of senior graduate teacher and maintain the position of qualified teacher.
The Prime Minister clarified what the execution of these changes would look like.
The assistant principal will assist the principal in the delivery and monitoring of the school curriculum and related activities. Consequently, the assistant principal leads instruction, assessment, behavior management, or pastoral care provision at the school. The head of department, this is a position of responsibility for supervision of staff. Heads of department usually are at the subject level. We'll also bring on board a school counselor to advise and counsel students, refer students, and keep confidential records. Graduate teacher and senior graduate teacher, a trained teacher with a higher education degree, in addition to teacher training qualifications. These levels will be so configured to have a graduate and senior graduate teacher to provide greater opportunities and upward mobility for the more experienced graduate teacher.
Teachers would be appointed after a minimum of 2 years. You are watching Channel 5 News. We'll have more after this.
A new in-home experience is here. All your services bundled into one simple plan. Faster, more reliable Wi-Fi so that you can binge, play, and stream uninterrupted. Unlimited Flow local landline minutes mean you can talk and talk and talk. Plus the best in TV entertainment with over 120 channels and 29 in HD. All for $160 a month with the new all-in bundle. With Flow, it only gets better.
If you're HIV positive or have an STI, having unprotected sex with multiple partners puts them in grave danger. You'll expose every partner and their present and future partners to HIV or another STI. Use a condom every time you have sex. You can live a productive life even if diagnosed with HIV. Remember, early detection is key to your survival. Be responsible, protect yourself and others. Help stop the spread of HIV and other STIs.
Flow helps you stay connected to what matters. Simple plans and a better network mean that you can enjoy 7 days of unlimited social messaging, 3 gigabytes of reliable data to use as you like, 700 local anywhere calls and texts, with the always-on prepaid plan, all for $29. Keep your number when you switch to Dominica's most reliable LTE network. Buy wherever you top up. Switch to Flow. It only gets better.
Thank you for staying with us. Finally, some much-needed relief for the Manufacturers Association. Prime Minister Skerrit said Tuesday in his 2019-2020 National Budget Address that measures would be taken to create a more enabling environment for manufacturers to thrive. Just last week, the president of the Manufacturers Association, Severin McKenzie, lamented the fact that the sector had been decimated by Hurricane Maria.
On the request of the Dominica Manufacturers Association, government will give consideration to the review of the terms and conditions of the special loan facility at the Aid Bank. This, we hope, will improve access by the members to the funds. During the expected review of the VAT legislation during this financial year, we intend to explore the possible benefits of the removal of VAT on specific raw materials imported for use in the manufacturing business.
Director of Trade Matan Walter says being a net importer is not in Dominica's best interest. A net importer is a country or territory whose value of imported goods and services is higher than its exported goods and services over a given period of time. Mr. Walter told the Manufacturers Association's annual general meeting Dominica was slowly moving towards becoming a net importer if it does not embrace the concerns of the manufacturing sector.
If I remember the statistics properly, in 2016, we imported more than $100 million worth of products, food products into Dominica. 2016. And so, hence the reason why I find it important and valuable to listen to the concerns of manufacturers and see what we can do to help them so that we can displace some of the imports. Because when we send that money out of state, it doesn't return really. We keep sending it back to get the goods back again. We need to find some way for at least 1/3 of the imports to be substituted by production internally, and that could allow for circulation of finances within our local economy.
In 2016, Dominica imported over $2 million in vegetable oil. Walter believes the raw material can be imported in order to produce the oil here in the country. Over $2 million was spent on fruit juice imports around that same time. And project manager of the Crime and Violence Prevention and Social Development Project in the region believes the imprisonment of juveniles ought to be a last resort. Louis Dodson is in Dominica currently conducting a week-long training program in capacity building in case management of juvenile offenders.
It is hoped that the Crime and Violence Prevention and Social Development Project, therefore, that this workshop is an attempt, small as it may be, at addressing the observation of the aforementioned report, that the region's criminological infrastructure is not yet supported by a well-developed knowledge base on effective sanctions and rehabilitation strategies. As the region endeavors to embrace alternatives to incarceration, capacity building for case management of juvenile offenders have become a critical priority. Therefore, the objective of this workshop is to build capacity of justice sector and law enforcement officials to manage juvenile offenders towards increased consideration of alternatives to incarceration.
Flow helps you stay connected to what matters. Simple plans and a better network mean that you can enjoy 7 days of unlimited social messaging, 3 gigabytes of reliable data to use as you like, 700 local anywhere calls and texts with the always-on prepaid plan, all for $29. Keep your number when you switch to Dominica's most reliable LTE network. Buy wherever you top up. Switch to Flow. It only gets better.
Here are some tips to reduce mosquito presence in and around your home. Keep water storage containers properly covered. Remove containers that can collect water from your surroundings. Keep garbage bins tightly covered. Pick up your litter and remove all tires from your yard. Keep gutters free of leaves and twigs to prevent stagnant water. Prevent Zika, dengue, and chikungunya. Fight the bite. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
This message is supported by Flow.
A new in-home experience is here. All your services bundled into one simple plan. Faster, more reliable Wi-Fi so that you can binge, play, and stream uninterrupted. Unlimited Flow local landline minutes mean you can talk and talk and talk. Plus the best in TV entertainment with over 120 channels and 29 in HD. All for $160 a month with the new all-in bundle. With Flow, it only gets better.
To end the news, we take a look again at the headlines. The Labour administration makes history, presenting a $1 billion budget for the 2019-2020 financial year. Kalinago Chief Lorenzo Sanford receives a commitment of support from the Minister for Finance and an opportunity for upward mobility for the island's teachers. Feel free to contact us at news@marpin2k4.com. You may access our past newscasts on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the production team, I am Julian Morris. Thank you for watching. Join us tomorrow.